From Hollywood. Welcome to the Rat's Ass Podcast with Mojo Elliott.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster.
Oh, it's true. I wanted to rob banks, steal cars, and put bodies in mason jars. Nah, not really. Actually, I just always wanted to be a big mouth behind the mic. How am I doing? All right, it's finally Friday. What do you say we go on another action-packed adventure together? Here's what's on tap on the Wrap. The Democrats got the memo. And what song are they singing now? There's a new Tesla phenomenon we'll discuss. Are you a believer in the K218B? I'll explain it. I've got the top 5 movies that didn't need a sequel for you. And the NBA NHL playoff preview. Another round of head trauma is on the way. We're going to play Total Recall in a few. Plus our usual loose behavior. The Friday Funny, Celebrity Cheese, your email from our Gmail, one more thing. And we've got shout-outs to Rat Nation and the Resistance. That's those of you who refuse to join the club. We're going to try a democratic move here and shame you into joining Rat Nation. All right, today is Good Friday, and this Sunday is Easter. Now, my family, we do not go all out for Easter. We really don't. Nobody goes to church. We don't get dressed up. No one reflects or fasts in the traditional sense. We just basically go eat on Sunday. Yeah, this year we're going to do a 3-hour feast at my mother-in-law. She's 90 years old, and we'll be nibbling on a catered meal. About 7 or 10 of us will show up, and that's about it. You know, gone are the days when we'd hide the honey-baked ham, blindfold my mother-in-law, spin her around about 10 times, and when she'd find the ham, the meal would begin. Last year, we didn't eat until almost midnight, so I said, okay, enough of that. I'm not going to do that anymore. We'd like to eat about, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, hang out for about 3 hours till we're sick of each other, and then go home. All right, you can always tell when a Democrat and the whole party gets the memo when they're all singing the same song. And they think we're too stupid to notice this, by the way. But the song title they're singing right now is called, If They Can Disappear Kilmer Abrigo Garcia, They Can Disappear You. Now let me ask, are you scared? All the Democrats have is fear, no ideas, no solutions, just fear-mongering. Have you ever heard them offer an idea for something different than we're dealing with right now? Offer any solutions? No, they just want to scare the hell out of you. And that's about it. They have no ideas, no solutions. I just want to bury that in your mind so that you hear this in your head when they start coming up and saying, if they can disappear Garcia, they can disappear you. I'll tell you what, if I ever become a murdering, drug-dealing, wife-beating, illegal gang member from a foreign country, then I'll worry about being disappeared. Until then, I'm going to continue living my American nightmare. All right, have you noticed all of the attacks on Tesla have suddenly come to an abrupt end? Why is this? Well, first of all, the Democrats are off on a new tangent, saving illegal criminals from being deported. Second, the vandals have all been arrested, and they're looking at 20 years in prison. Hard time, hard jail time. Now, even the people who got caught by the Tesla cameras vandalizing Teslas, they've been arrested and fined and charged. Now, here's the phenomena that I teased you with. I was in the parking lot at Costco yesterday listening to a couple of podcasts that I like, mine, and I noticed that people, when they would walk up to a Tesla or come near a Tesla, they act like they saw a rattlesnake. They just jump out of the way, wouldn't go near it. And it's very interesting because about 30% of the people in North LA County where I live, they probably own a Tesla. But man, they would bring the cart of groceries out, and if they were parked by a Tesla or a Tesla parked by them, they would actually move the cart back away where the Tesla camera couldn't capture them or the cart. I guess they're afraid the cart bumping into the Tesla, maybe. I don't know. But check it out in your neighborhood. When you see a Tesla, see if people kind of avoid it like a rattlesnake when they come up on a Tesla. All right. Did you hear about this one? The NASA James Webb Space Telescope says they have detected life on a distant planet.
The history of science will be viewed as a paradigm shift in our search for life.
NASA's James Webb Space Telescope has helped scientists detect the strongest signs yet of possible life beyond our solar system, 124 light years away, on a planet named K218b. The chemical footprints of 2 gases were observed. On Earth, those gases are only created by living organisms, specifically marine microbes. It's all in a new study, and while the researchers behind it are excited, they're also cautious.
This is one of the biggest questions we have asked as a species in all of science, and we have to deal with it very carefully in that we want to be really, really robust in establishing whether this is actually life that we are seeing.
Now, I know this is going to sound cynical, and I apologize up front, but it seems like when NASA is running low on funds, they always seem to find life on a distant planet, and more of our tax dollars are needed to go fund additional exploration on this. Now, NASA was founded in 1958. Now, you would think at a minimum they would have found an alien footprint somewhere by now. We got some moon rocks. But this K218b is not an acceptable name for a planet. Let's start there. So what do you say for sneezes and wheezes? We come up with our own name for the planet. What do you think it should be called? Send your ideas for K218b to ratsasspodcast@gmail.com, and let's see what you come up with. All right, did you catch the trailer for the next Mission Impossible movie with Tom Cruise? It's got him hanging off a plane, flying and wind flying in his face about 140 miles an hour. Now, here we have a 62-year-old guy doing his own stunts, and that's not only impressive, it's inspirational to me. But here we are 29 years later from the first Mission Impossible movie, if you can believe that. This one's number 8. The Final Reckoning debuts on May 23rd. Now, this got me thinking about the movies that had sequels that really didn't need a sequel. And I came up with a top 5 list. Let's see if you agree with this. Number 1, Jaws. Did not need a sequel. Stood on its own. Caddyshack. Oh, they tried with Jackie Mason. Oh, it was horrible. Ghostbusters. So unique and different. Nothing would have lived up to it. Nothing. Ghostbusters never needed a sequel. It was always a money grab. Then we had Back to the Future. And we loved it so much, we said, okay, yeah, we want 2. And we forgave him for doing Back to the Future 3. But it did not need a sequel. And then Home Alone. Home Alone. How many have we had with different actors? Home Alone was so unique and different, too, that it should have stayed on its own. Didn't need a sequel. Now, you might have heard this. Director Chris Columbus wants to remove Donald Trump from Home Alone 2. Yeah, he wants to remove him from Home Alone 2.
Uh-oh. We got a moron here. Is that it?
Yeah, that's what we have. Chris Columbus. You know, when you create a piece of art, just let it go. Don't alter it. Don't alter your art, man. Don't do it.
Let's give it up for Mr. 1 and 3 Mojo Elliott with the Rap Sports.
Well, thank you, Alexa. Mr. 1 and 3. I appreciate that. You're holding my feet to the fire. All right, yeah, the last of the NBA play-ins happened tonight with Atlanta hosting Miami and Memphis hosting Dallas. And I am 1 and 3, predicting the play-in game so far. But I'm going to see if I can get back to 500 tonight. America likes a comeback, right? So I'm taking Miami and Dallas to move on. All right, on Saturday, it's Minnesota and Los Angeles, the Lakers. That's going to be a good series. First time they've met in the playoffs ever. Milwaukee and Indiana, the Los Angeles Clippers play Denver, Detroit, and New York. Now, in these series, I like the Lakers, Pacers, Clippers, and the New York Knicks in these matchups. On Sunday, we've got Orlando and Boston, Golden State and Houston. Oklahoma City and Cleveland are waiting for tonight's play-in winners. Now, I like Boston and Houston to move on. And when it comes to Oklahoma City and Cleveland, I don't care who they play. They're moving on. They're moving on. So I got Boston, Houston, Cleveland, and Oklahoma City. In the NHL, Round 1 features Winnipeg and St. Louis, Dallas and Colorado, the Kings from Los Angeles and Edmonton, Las Vegas and Minnesota. In the East, we'll have Toronto and Ottawa, Tampa Bay and Florida, Washington and Montreal, Carolina and New Jersey. All right, so my Round 1 winners are Winnipeg, Dallas, Las Vegas, Edmonton. You'll notice I'm not a Kings fan. I'm a Penguins fan. They're not in the playoffs, but I'm still going to watch the playoffs anyway because I dig hockey. I've got Toronto, Tampa Bay, Washington, and Carolina all moving on. All right, so there you have it. That's your Rat's Ass Podcast Sports.
Rat's Ass Podcast. Head trauma.
All right, today's round is Total Recall. I'll give you 4 historical events, and you have to put them in the order they occurred first to last. You can commit these to memory or write them down. Here we go. I'll wait for you to grab a pen and paper. No, I won't. Here we go. Geraldo Rivera opens Al Capone's empty vault. Richard Nixon resigns as President of the United States. Led Zeppelin releases In Through the Outdoor. And the movie Jaws opens in theaters. All right, put them in order, first to last. And we'll have the answer for you coming up a little bit later on in the podcast.
It's time for some loose behavior on the Rat's Ass Podcast.
All right, it's Friday. And as you know, now we dig into my comedy archives for the Friday Funny. Today I'm going to bring back the legend of the one-liners, Mr. Rodney Dangerfield.
I got no sex life. 10 years ago, my wife put me on hold. My old man, he didn't help at all, my old man. We used to play tag and he'd drive. I mean, it's not easy being me. When I was born, the doctor told my mother I did all I could, but he pulled through anyway. I mean, and nobody was nice. My mother never breastfed me. She told me she liked me as a friend. But when I was born, after the doctor cut the cord, he hung himself. And I tell you, I can't relax, you know? My dog drives me nuts. My dog. He wants me to mate him. I wouldn't mate him. Let him go through what I go through. I mean, last week was rough. Are you kidding? Last week I looked up my family tree. 2 dogs were using it. And I'll tell you, my wife isn't too smart, you know. One night she went out, some guy stole the car. I sent you to see what he looked like. She told me she got the license plate number.
Oh, man, God gave us only one Rodney Dangerfield, and we lost him back in 2004. God, he was great as Al Cervic in Caddyshack, wasn't he?
Hey, heads up. Here comes your celebrity cheese.
All right, Haley Joel Osment, who played the kid who saw dead people in the movie The Sixth Sense in 1999, was arrested at a ski resort in Mammoth Mountain, California. Osment, now 37, was said to have been drunk and disorderly and threw out a lot of few tasty racial slurs and insults at the cop who arrested him. The cop was heard saying, "I'm about to see some dead people, too." Onlookers at a beach in Costa Rica were treated to watching President Trump's daughter Ivanka surfing in a one-piece, and she looked pretty good, too. Beachgoers gave Ivanka's butt a 10. A 10. Now, when President Trump heard about this, he said, "You know what? I used to hit that, you know." I mean, spanked it.
Holy shit!
Not to be outdone, sexy Austin Powers actress Elizabeth Hurley took her shot and her hot 59-year-old bod to the beaches of Maldives, where she was seen frolicking in a red two-piece. And I'm still waiting for the official ask scores to come in, but I've seen the photos. I'm going to tell you right now, guys. I'm going to give that an enthusiastic 10. Oh, yeah.
Hoo-ah! That's just about enough of that.
Friends of pop singer Justin Bieber continue to claim the Biebs is on a mental decline and are sharing their concern for his well-being and his $300 million. Now, here's the deal. Justin's 31 years old. He's a married man, a new father, and he pulls in an estimated $80 million a year. He's kind of slumming it right now. He's got problems. Now, seriously, I believe that there comes a time in every man's life where they simply want to enjoy the fruits of their labor, regardless of what age that is, and that includes cutting loose the freeloaders. You know, Confucius say, man is better off with 4 quarters than 100 pennies.
What do you mean?
Well, it means, Biebs, man who does this hangs on to their $300 million. Oh, and by the way, Britney Spears has now been single for 59 days.
Who gives a rat's ass?
Rat's Ass Podcast. Email from our Gmail.
All right, this is where you email your questions and comments to me at ratsasspodcast@gmail.com. No topic is off the table. I do not read your email in advance. My producer, Fleabag, who we've been calling Fleezus, by the way, he's playing the role of Jesus in a play this weekend, and he grew his hair, and he's got this big beard, and he looks like Fleezus. But he'll be back to Fleabag next week. I'm assuming you're going to get it all chopped off, Fleabag. Is that right? Yeah, okay, good. Good to see it, because you're looking a little Fleezus to me right now. All right, but anyway, he sends me your name, where you're from, edits them down so I can respond rapid fire and on the fly. So here we go. Gail F. from Long Beach, California said, I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes recently, and I recall you mentioned once upon a time you deal with it. How long have you had it, and how do you manage it? So we're going to do an opening serious email here from our Gmail. Gail, 2005. I've had it, I think we're coming up on the 20-year anniversary any day now. And I do manage it with metformin and glypiride. I take 81 milligrams of aspirin. I take 3,000 IU of vitamin D daily, plus I eat an extremely healthy diet and regular exercise. My A1C stays between a 5.5 and a 5.8 by doing this. Now, I just thought of this. On the blog this week, and I'm going to do this. You know, I think sometimes we get a little bit wild and crazy on the podcast here, but I think I can do some good with people. So on the blog this weekend, I'm going to write out my story and my diet, because you don't need the Ozempic, in my opinion. I don't think you need the Ozempic and all these other drugs that cost megabucks, cost the healthcare companies megabucks. You can do it the old-fashioned way It just takes a little bit of work. And once you're into it, it's not difficult. I've been dealing with it for 20 years. So I'm gonna lay this out for you with what I eat, and you'll be surprised what my diet is probably. But at the end of the day, it's the way we're supposed to eat as human beings. So I'm going to put this on the blog this weekend. You can check it out at ratsasspodcast.com. All right. Rob C., Denver, Colorado, said, I listened to Volbeat on your recommendation, and you're right, they bring it. Yeah, they do. They're a good band. Any other bands from the past 10 years you can turn me on to? Well, I'm from the Mick Mars school of shitty name, shitty band. But a few years ago, I ran into Dirty Honey, and I refused to listen to this band because I didn't like the name. I thought, shitty name, shitty band. One day I was driving in the car and I heard this song, Won't Take Me Alive, and I Shazammed it, and it came up as Dirty Honey. I was like, wow, really? I need to listen to this band then. So it's still a shitty name, but they're not a shitty band. They're really good. I'm also always shocked to find out how many people have never heard of Rival Sons or the Dead Daisies. And these guys kick ass, man. I mean, they are a throwback to like that raw 70s sound. So if you like that kind of sound, check those guys out too. Rival Sons from Long Beach, California, and the Dead Daisies. All right? And also, by the way, if you like to go cruising, great cruising music too. All right, Doc B in Yukon, Oklahoma said, I know you do your radio war stories by request only, so I'm requesting one. Okay, hey, Fleabag, do me a favor. Maybe you give me a heads up on these so I can figure out a story to tell in advance. So off the top, you know what? Since Katy Perry is involved in a in a beef with Wendy's, did you hear about this one, by the way? Katy Perry, because of her actions when she took the ride in the spaceship the other day, the rocket. Well, Wendy's posted something on their social media that said, can we send her back? So now there's a little bit of beef between Katy Perry and Wendy's. But I had not a beef with Katy Perry. And by the way, Katy, before she got started, she's out of Santa Barbara, used to come on the radio program a couple of times just to sell her works. And when she came out with the song, I Kissed a Girl, I took a phone call from a listener. And I used to take phone calls from crazy listeners all the time. And this one was somebody that called on a regular basis, bitching about the music. And she called me one day complaining because I can't believe you're playing that song, I Kissed a Girl, and I liked it. I sing that song and when I'm alone, and I like it. But when I'm with my 8-year-old daughter, I don't want to hear that crap. I don't want to teach my daughter to kiss a girl. I said, really? I said, okay. But it's a very popular song, and I have a duty to my listeners to play what they want to hear, not what I want to play. She goes, I don't care. I don't want that song on the radio station I listen to. And I go, okay, well, give me an example of a song that you find acceptable. And she goes, well, we like to sing Lollipop by Lil Wayne. I said, well, we don't play that, so you've been listening to another radio station. She goes, well, you got me there. But I said, have you ever listened to the lyrics to Lollipop? She goes, well, no, we just like to say Lollipop. Yeah, really? Okay. Well, do me a favor. Why don't you go back and listen to the lyrics to Lollipop and call me back and tell me what you think? Next day, she does. She calls me back and she says, oh, my God, I can't believe I've been teaching my daughter about giving blowjobs. Bingo. I love that story. All right, Jessica K. from Park City, Utah said, I'm curious to find out what you think is a reasonable time to date someone before expecting them to take the next step. Well, I'm assuming that you mean an engagement, and in Utah, it's usually graduation day. You say, okay, time to get married. But seriously, when you're both ready, if it doesn't work, if one is ready and the other one isn't, I think people should know within a year, though, if a relationship's going to work out or not. All right, Asher Z in Maui, Hawaii said, I walked in on a girl I'm dating, making out with her ex-boyfriend, and jetted. Now she expects me to forgive her, and I can't do it. Would you? Okay, Asher, well, let me be very clear about this. Hear me out. Hell no. All right, Jack Q from Wellington, New Zealand said, I haven't heard you bash Trump's tariff, so I'm guessing you're okay with it. But what if they kill the world economy? Well, I've thought about this. And I hope the redistribution of tariffs, which is what I call it, a redistribution of tariffs, doesn't mean it crashes the world economy. But just to be straight with you, Jack, I'm not a globalist. I only care about the United States of America. And I've watched too many of my friends lose great paying jobs to other countries. Where I'm from, just outside of Pittsburgh, the whole steel mill, gone. used to employ 14,400 people. Now, granted, they got really greedy with unions, with double time pay, with benefits, all of this stuff. They kind of did it to themselves a little bit. But the government didn't help. They shipped those jobs overseas. So I'm kind of happy to see the focus being put back on bringing manufacturing back to the USA because we can use some good blue-collar paydays in the United States these days. All right? Hope that didn't bug you too much. All right, if you have any questions or comments, send them to me at ratsasspodcast@gmail.com.
Rat's Ass Podcast. Head trauma.
All right, today's round is Total Recall. I gave you 4 historical events, and you had to put them in the order they occurred, first to last. Geraldo Rivera opens Al Capone's empty vault. Richard Nixon resigns as President of the United States. Led Zeppelin releases In Through the Outdoor, and the movie Jaws opens in theaters. All right? If you guessed Nixon in 1974, Jaws in 1975, Led Zeppelin 1979, and Geraldo Rivera in 1986.
Correctamundo.
Right? And if you missed it, you know what you have to do. Go see a doctor about your head trauma and get well soon. All right, I got to go take my monkey bazoo for a shave and a haircut, but I do have one more thing for you. One more thing. Psychologists believe when people say, you've changed, there's a 95% chance you've stopped acting the way they wanted you to. Now, truth be told, nobody has ever said, you know, Mojo, you've changed. I've been pretty consistent, except when I walk into a room wearing a fresh pair of boxers.
Okay, Fuzz Nuts, let's do some shout-outs to Rat Nation and the Resistance.
Fuzz Nuts? God, she's persnickety, isn't she? All right, welcome to Rat Nation to Grant McCain of Galveston, Texas, Diane Poole, New Haven, Connecticut, and Josh Pike in Decatur, Illinois, and to the Resistance. Yes, the Resistance, those of you who refuse to join the club. Rachel Muldoon, Schenectady, New York, Dane Rogers from Fresno, California, and around the world to listeners in Brazil, France, and Germany. Thank you so much for joining Rat Nation and listening to the Rat's Ass Podcast. We do appreciate it very much.
Now's your chance to be one of the few and the loud. Join Rat Nation at ratsasspodcast.com. Membership does have its rewards, you know.
All right, that's going to do it for this episode of the Rat's Ass Podcast. Be sure to check out the new ratsasspodcast.com to connect with us on the socials, listen to the podcasts, join Rat Nation, Resistance, and read the blog. It's loaded with current events, pop culture, sports, music, the Q&A, sex, and the Dumbass Awards. We'll get together again on Monday, April 21st. Have a tremendous weekend and take care of each other. And thanks again for dropping by The Rap.
The conversation continues between podcasts on X and ratsasspodcast.com. ratsasspodcast.com.